Hello, my name is Tyler Rivera-Stein, and I'm a single-subject music credential candidate at CSULA. Many of my experiences throughout my academic career have led me to the point I am today. I hope over the course of the next 5 minutes to share with you some of these experiences, as they have greatly impacted my decision to become an educator. The bulk of my education took place in the 1990s, where much of the cultural emphasis was put on an expanding economy. My parents continued the focus by instilling in me the importance of good education, which would ultimately lead to a good career. Throughout my education, I maintained a high A average and an eagerness to learn. During my childhood, the internet was still in its infancy. In order to research school projects, I would spend hours in encyclopedias. My parents had bought an Encyclopedia Britannica set when I was very young, and I remember going through the pages late at night and into the early hours of the morning. With the limits of technology, learning was tedious and not as immediately as accessible as it is today with platforms like YouTube and Google. You couldn't type in a question online and wait a millisecond for an answer. I believe my study habits and limitations of early technology cultivated my dedicated and patient work ethic. Many of my current students have trouble being patient and taking the time to problem solve. Even after we review the concept, they struggle to put the pieces together. They aren't patient enough to solve the problems. Growing up, I enjoyed the computers too and played arcade games like Commander Keen. I also stumbled upon a software called Microsoft Session, an early music notation software. In the 4th grade, we had been studying early medieval music on recorder, so after school, I'd race home to punch in the melody of Greensleeves, click by click. I expanded it into a 20-part theme and variation, ranging in styles from woodwind trio to heavy metal. This was one of over 300 compositions I've composed to this day, with hours of dedicated patience and practice in my music studio. My interest in music pulled me into high school band, marching band, choir, madrigals, and school musicals. I began to gravitate towards other music classmates who were also composers. I even wrote arrangements for some of my classmates to play for statewide competitions. It was nice to feel like part of a community. Aside from a handful of close friends, many of my classmates did not know I was a composer. I felt intimidated to show them my work fearing ridicule because I had no formal music theory training. The band teacher would repeatedly tell me that he didn't have time to look over my compositions or help me, and I felt deflated. It was hard to find an outlet for my creativity. One day though, during high school, I found myself playing a theme I had composed for piano in the band room alone during my lunch period. We had a substitute teacher that day and she was just out of earshot. As the music swelled to a climax, she worked her way into the band room. She encouraged me to pursue composition after learning I had written the piece. This was the first time anyone outside of my parents had offered praise for my work. This moment created the confidence in me to open up to more people about my compositions and pursue it ultimately in college. When I went to NYU for music, I was writing arrangements for my class to perform. I also had an accompanist friend who encouraged me by playing my arrangements. It's important to have someone who encourages you along your journey because all too often there are people who work at discouraging you from achieving your goals. Today I have a strong support network of people who enjoy my music and continue to inspire me to pursue it. After arriving in Southern California 5 years ago, I gravitated towards opportunities to work with music professionals. Soon I was being asked if I taught music. Initially, as a private music tutor for my colleagues' children, I found opportunities to reach more students in the after-school setting. I have had the pleasure of working with students of all abilities, from youth to adult, as well as students with special needs. Teaching is an amazing thing because it gives me the opportunity to help someone while I develop my own understanding of certain concepts. Additionally, music is a language and a very good tool to help build your network or community. It has given me an opportunity throughout my life to make new friends and share experiences by playing with other musicians. Teaching music has also expanded my knowledge. Students are always challenging me with specific requests like advanced jazz theory or Pro Tools lessons. It gives me the opportunity to study by doing what I love and ultimately translate the information for them in the best way for comprehension. As an educator, I put an emphasis on understanding why things work instead of giving my students the answers. I had to learn a lot of these things myself. The best way for these students to truly understand these concepts is by learning slow, much like my tedious early composing at the computer. I didn't always compose great works of art and had to learn through trial by error to get a sound I enjoyed. I also encourage them to show me what they're working on outside of class, not like my high school band teacher. Students need encouragement, even if, as the educator, you feel like their work isn't worth your time. Also, they must learn to think critically and not rely on software or the internet for the answers. As in the 1990s, education plays an important role on job placement, so it's important that a student use their education to their advantage. I look forward to working with more students with my single subject teaching credential and hope to inspire them to work with dedication and patience on classwork and concepts beyond their lessons.